Okay, okay. You guarantee me this time? Will you guarantee me next episode?
I'll guarantee it. For
5, maybe 4. I'll 3. I'll even cut it down to 3.
3 minutes. Okay,
3 short minutes. Give me 1 hot minute. One.
And welcome back to the WatchTower podcast, a new podcast brought to you by the Towercast Network, which is a new podcast network brought to you by Tower Productions. We have a very exciting episode today, and we have some special guests, which I'm excited to have. But first off, I want to introduce my co-host, John Eric Castro.
What's going on, fellas? People out there in the film world.
And my other co-host, Christian Yokomoto Medina. What's going on?
Well, hello, everybody.
Cool. So we have 2 special guests today. Oscar, returning guest.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
And first time good friend of ours, first time guest here on the WatchTower podcast is Chris Blade. He's
I've
the
seen
host.
that guy.
Hi.
He's the man behind Movies.Mayhem.Soap. In case you haven't heard that podcast, check it out. I've had the honor to be on that show a few times, and it's always fun talking to these guys, which is one of the meetings we had when we first started up the WatchTower podcast was like, hey man, like these guys from Movies.Mayhem.Soap, they do it right, man, and they know what they're talking about. We should bring them on. So I'm glad that we're able to make this happen. And last but not least, we also have Austin Young, which is recording our show in the background there.
Yo.
You know what Austin is? Austin is to WatchTower what George is to Movies.
Yes.
He's Mr. Austin. Shout out to producer George.
We might pull off Austin's face and it'll be George's.
It'll be George.
It's actually producer George right now.
That's where he's been.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling.
Yes.
No, this is going to be a great episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to be talking about a very special episode today, a very special film rather. Jonathan Demme's Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs, man. We got a bunch of psychopaths in here.
Upon Christian Yokomoto's request, really, this was the horror guy.
The main psychopath.
Yeah. You know what? It's been on my list forever. This is the first time I watch it in its entirety.
Yeah,
watching it with you guys, and for those listening out there, we did a Netflix watch party, which was pretty cool. It was the first time I'd ever done that. I highly encourage it right now when you miss the social setting of watching films with your friends. We had a blast, man. We got on there and we're just geeking out, especially Yoko and Oscar were geeking out the most because they've seen this film a ton of times.
Yes.
But
we got some nachos.
Yeah. I'm a big Jodie Foster fan, man. I mean, if you're a Scorsese fan, you're a Jodie Foster fan because she was in a lot of his early work, like Taxi Driver and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. So she was in those early films, and I'm just always a fan of her. But I had seen her work when she was older, but I hadn't seen her like this, and that's kind of one of my standouts. Was her performance in this was fantastic.
Well, one of her first ones was Taxi, wasn't it?
Taxi Driver, yeah, Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
Before Taxi Driver, she did Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Shout out to producer George. That's one of his favorite Scorsese films.
Yeah, it is.
So it's a good. He calls it, as George likes to call it, a good palate cleanser. It's a different take. It's not a guy named Tony holding a gun in that film.
Not an Italian guy. Fat guy named...
No, it's about
just Robert holding a gun in a mirror.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I'm sure there's guns in the movie, in the bar scenes. But anyways, it's about a kid and his mom like moving from one part of the country to another. It's a good little film. But anyways, Jodie Foster comes out in that as well. What were your thoughts, man? I'm sure that, I was one of the only ones who had seen it for the first time. What were your initial thoughts about this film? Maybe you want to talk about
I need an explanation from the experts and the lovers of this movie. Why a female protagonist?
What's up?
Why a female protagonist?
How
you gonna send a female rookie with the main psychopath, the top psychopath of, the America's Most Wanted, or they already caught him, I guess, but
part of it is if you go like right at the beginning of the whole movie. Part of it is the fact that it's like that whole interesting with the directive and all that is that like she's good enough, like she knows how to profile, she gets good grades in his class and all that, right. And the fact that they need someone who could kind of like catch Hannibal like through the other side, you know,
From
and
a
like
female,
not very
something only a female could do.
yeah.
Yeah.
At least, yeah, to catch him on the other side, because the whole thing of the movie is that everybody doesn't really see her as being as competent as they are,
Yeah.
because she is a woman.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
They're underestimating her.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you take that risk of putting somebody that vulnerable?
I think because
because you don't expect it.
Yeah, I think she has merit too. I think she has merit. Like she graduated top of her class. You know, she's in the academy, like stuff like that. I think that's, you know, she's showing some merit. She's showing like upscale merit compared to other people.
And that first talk that they have that she has with Hannibal, that can kind of show you exactly that she is good for this, because at the same time that you do see that she's kind of vulnerable, but at that same time, like she's ready to say like, hey, step it down.
I think another thing to consider is she's not seasoned, and that's a big deal. Like the other like her boss, like he's gone down there in the trenches and he knows what to expect. But when you send somebody that's like you know, when you're seasoned, you're not teachable, right? Yeah. Like so if you're gonna make your own conclusions of like, it's this for this guy, but she has to, like, it's like she's a freshly new college student almost. Like she's making her experiment on this. She's really gonna be detailed about what her conclusion about him is gonna be, right? So I think that's part of the reason I saw her character.
There's that one scene where it's that scene where she meets Lecter for the first time.
Right.
And he starts kind of attacking her and basically, you know what I think of you, blah, blah, blah. And he starts basically just full on like deconstructing her. And she doesn't break. Like she is on the verge of breaking. Like all she wants to do is just like, I can't let I'm so upset right now. I'm so just like, how dare you do this to me? But I knew that this is probably the risk that I had to go in, but she doesn't do it, and it's so good.
I just see what I see what Carlos and you're saying, but I just still think it's kind of risky for the FBI to do that. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like the non-feminist, but a guy, you know, send a veteran guy. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have seen Mindhunters. We were talking about Mindhunters yesterday.
Yeah.
It wasn't based on two guys? Like, wasn't the true story based on two guys?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's almost like the Wild West, right? Like you get two guys who go up against each other, and I kind of get that side of it. But at the same time, I think the audience, from an audience perspective, the audience is expecting her to fail, right? Like the audience is expecting her to break. Yeah. And I think that's a good arc. Like for us to expect for her to break, and she's really the strong one. I think that's a big deal and a big character arc, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the concept was amazing, man. Like I went in a little blind. You obviously know that he's Hannibal Lecter and he likes to eat people and what have you, right? But what I think was interesting for me was that everybody sees him, and I know I might sound like the antithesis here, guys, but everybody sees Hannibal Lecter as like the Freddy, the Jason, the Michael Myers, and I didn't. I went into that a little differently. I saw this interesting character. I mean, it's a psychiatrist or psychologist who's a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? And a sociopath. That's how I saw it. That's the point of view I took for that character.
I will say, to kind of like piggyback on your point, I will say that one of the worst things that happened to Hannibal Lecter throughout the years was that people started treating him as a monster, like that type of monster villain.
Sure.
Right.
When in all matter of cases, he should be something more like Darth Vader in a franchise.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that villain where you are intimidated by him and you know that he's got control of that room.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was just something.
I mean, I haven't seen the full trilogy. I don't know if there's more of an arc to it. I don't know if you see that. You see that in the prequel, in Red Dragon, or if you see that in Hannibal.
I would suggest like maybe. I really don't. I mean, because Red Dragon is not nearly as good as Silence of the Lambs. I would maybe suggest watching like Manhunter, which is the Michael Mann film, but that's a completely different Hannibal Lecter because Brian Cox plays him.
Sure.
I think you do see a little bit more of like the type of like like monster type of Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal, which is a Ridley Scott film, and that one is like completely opposite of like what Silence of the Lambs is. I enjoy Hannibal a lot because it's like crazy, Grand Guignol.
It's like him off the leash, I guess, in a way. He's just
Totally.
Is it a direct sequel?
Yes.
And actually, Jodie Foster was supposed to be in Hannibal, but she just did not like the script at all.
She did not.
She's like, no, I'm not going to do this.
Who wrote the script? Was it Ridley?
It was Steven Zalian, but
what? Steven Zalian's a good writer.
I think it was Steven Zalian, but the thing is that because Silence of the Lambs became such a huge phenomenon, Thomas Harris was told like, "Hey, dude, you have to write a sequel. You have to write a sequel." So he did, and it was kind of like a rushed thing. So when Hannibal came out, no one really liked it, and he just made it like extremely like what Chris was saying, like super unleashed. He's in Florence. He's basically doing like all these like deranged stuff.
Okay.
And Ridley Scott just approached it as that, where it's just like, I'm not gonna make Silence of the Lambs. This isn't Silence of the Lambs.
Cool.
And
Demme, he does these weird artistic choices throughout that movie.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, this is kind of like, why is it here?
Okay.
But no one liked the script.
Got you. Cool. I mean, I think that's kind of how I came across this character and how I see him. And I was talking to my brother about the film yesterday because he had been pestering me to see it. He's like, "You got to see it. Hurry up and see it."
Another psychopath over there.
Well, you know what my brother. I think the reason it was amplified for him is my brother studied psychology, like his degrees in psychology, and I think they watched it as part of his curriculum, as part of the curriculum. Yeah, it's because to identify a sociopath or a psychopath and stuff like that. And he was kind of pestering me to watch it. So when I watched it, I told him, I was like, "Hey, I finally saw it." He's like, he made it clear to me that it's the shortest screen time for somebody to win an Academy Award to this day.
One of the shortest.
Like, he still holds one of those records. So that's got to be. I mean, that's intense, man. That's intense. He did fantastic. You know.
And when you see the movie, you don't really feel that. Like he's in it like for less than 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really feel that.
Right?
No, you don't. You feel him present throughout the entire film, and that's what's really cool about it.
He's sprinkled out throughout the film, and their conversations are so well rounded that you feel that's the whole movie right there.
Yeah. And I mean, in all honesty, I had seen most of the scenes. I had seen. I must have watched it in a film class or something, but they show you these scenes just to show you where to place camera when it comes to these two. Like, I think I mentioned it in the chat when we were talking about yesterday. The reflection shot. You see Anthony Hopkins and you see Jodie Foster in the forefront. That was a genius shot, and they show you these scenes when you're talking about two people talking, and so I had seen them, and I was completely enveloped, and I thought it was fantastic. I don't know what I read a while back that they did a study of 100 films or something like that, and that the utmost representation of a sociopath is the character Javier Bardem's character in No Country for Old Men. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like Anthony Hopkins' performance is a close second.
Good.
I think it's a close second. I think it's interesting to see this this character the way he is. I mean, but he's also such a chameleon. Anthony Hopkins doesn't get enough credit, man. Like my fiance. She's traumatized. She doesn't like seeing him anymore because of the film The Right. It's not even Silence of the Lambs, but it's The Right. He plays like a priest. It's your typical horror film. Yeah. But he plays a priest and this whole thing, right? And then we saw for Oscar season, we saw The Two Popes, and I loved it. And I thought he was fantastic in The Two Popes. I thought so versatile, and he doesn't play what he plays in Silence of the Lambs, you know. I don't think he gets enough credit, man. I think he's always seen kind of as the villain and the horror guy.
Is it in the end, like Silence of the Lambs was just such a big breakout role, you could say.
Yeah.
And it became associated with him. And for a while, he was doing a lot of these movies that kind of had that same character.
That same feel.
Yeah. It could be a bad thing or a good thing.
Yeah. And so especially when the 2000s came up and he was trying to do way more different stuff, we just kept saying like, nah, you're still Hannibal, bro.
I mean, what's interesting about Anthony Hopkins is his filmography really starts into the late '60s, man. So
I was gonna ask, like, when did he start?
He lived through the eras. I mean, he was in a bunch of fantastic films like The Elephant Man.
That's another
before Silence of the Lambs is what I'm talking about. He was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He was in Coppola's Dracula. You know.
I also have another question.
Yeah.
On the first scene when she meets Hannibal Lecter, what is the meaning with the cum shot to her? Is it that she's getting, by all these men, or what do you mean? These are just questions that I have because it's just, and you guys are lovers of this movie.
Well, I kind of like listen to several like horror podcasts and stuff like that, and a lot of these do have like female co-hosts and stuff like that. And the thing is that a lot of the fears that happen throughout this movie are a lot of that thing of what a woman kind of fears through her life. Part of it is being objectified. Part of it is being seen just as that sexual object and having no respect.
I think bigger than that, Yoko, also is like when sexual predators or sexual offenders and stuff like that, they tend to see, a lot of them tend to see sexual acts as a means of power.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's one side of it. I think that's one side of it for this character, at least. It's like having control, having power over the individual. I mean, there's a lot of kind of sexual references in the sense of like, even just like the peeling of the backs and stuff like that. I think that has a lot to do with it. But I'm sorry, Chris, you were saying?
No, yeah. That's a good way to kind of like add on to it. And what was it? Well, especially with the whole thing in the whole movie is about the Buffalo Bill,
right?
Who's someone who's trying to transition, which kind of as a little side note, this movie was going through huge scrutiny when it came out because of its views of transsexual,
right?
Especially because we just had come out of the '80s era with the whole AIDS scare. And I mean, everybody was treating a lot of the homosexual community in a bad way.
Sure.
And so when they have this big movie, this like a blockbuster movie that came out right at the beginning of the year, they see this him being a villain. Of course, the movie's gonna get a lot of backlash.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. I was thinking that when we saw it, given the year '91, man. I mean, I was thinking. I hadn't seen something like this that's a big blockbuster in that time. I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. You see films like Scorsese's After Hours, and After Hours was more of a B film, and it didn't get a big following, but it still had some of those similar elements of like nudity and sexual talk and stuff like that. So I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was ahead of its time a little bit. Chris, let me get your perspective, man. What did you think about the film in its entirety, and have you seen it? What was the first time you saw it?
Well, the first time I've seen it before. I saw it in middle school, and back then I was really intrigued by serial killers. So for me, that was like the big. I mean, I'm sure it's a big draw for everyone else. Although now I do appreciate more like Clarice's whole her journey, to becoming from this. She's a rookie. She's like everyone's pretty much just like tossing her aside, not really taking her seriously, and then she becomes this, she's the one that saves the day.
Yeah.
And but I was really fascinated with like Buffalo Bill. He's based on Ed Gein.
Yes.
He made made lampshades out of human skin, and he had a belt of nipples. It was just crazy. But so for me, definitely that. Performance, I think, is what I remember most about the movie, which is weird because Anthony Hopkins there, he's doing great. Also, like you guys were saying, he's kind of like the Darth Vader of the movie. But for me, what
you like,
I
Buffalo
really
Bill
always
more?
focus on I'm sorry.
You like Buffalo Bill? He was the one that caught you.
Yeah, he kind of intrigues me a lot more than Hannibal does.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I guess because of the realism of it, because of the things that they borrowed from Ed Gein.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, Buffalo Bill is to a certain degree, he's the main villain.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Because Hannibal's the midman, the middle guy. He's the one communicating between these two different things.
Anti-hero sort of way.
Anti-hero
At
kind
the
of
end,
way.
he helps out the good.
Yeah. I mean, and in the end, he gets what he wants, right? He gets his freedom, and he kind of gets.
We kind of root for him at the same time.
Breaking the law. Yeah. I mean, to a certain degree, right? But no, yeah, I see what you're saying, Chris. I think that's he's really the main villain if you really think about it. He's the one with the kidnapping, and he's the one. He's got some interesting characteristics to him. I gotta agree. Yeah.
And Ted Levine has that deep voice too. That's kind of
voice. Yeah, that's always
because he's very effeminate, right? But that voice is so deep and just.
I've seen him in other things. No, I've seen him in other things. No.
Yeah. What is he? What else has he done?
He mostly plays cops in movies. The only thing I can think of him right now is he was in The Hills Have Eyes. He was the dad who was an ex-cop. He used to be on Monk as a cop.
There we go. That's where I remember him from. Monk, the guy that's always sanitizing. Yeah.
He's on The Alienist, which is on a show on right now. He plays a cop there too. He plays a lot of cops.
He's a cop.
But so after this movie came out, he was afraid of getting typecast as villains all the time. So I guess that's why he takes a lot of cop roles.
Yeah.
Looks like he was uncredited. One of his first roles was actually in Escape from New York.
Escape from New York.
He plays the Duke's train sentry, and it's uncredited. But yeah, that was one of his first roles. That's pretty cool. He was in Heat as a cop. He played Detective Mike Bosco.
That's true.
Yeah. You're right, man.
I've seen him.
He's the cop. Apparently, he works a lot with the director, with Jonathan Demme. He was in The Truth About Charlie as well. Plays a pretty prominent role in that film. I'm sure Oscar would have a couple more notes on that as we go along. Because I know Oscar loves Jonathan Demme, and he's been on a binge of him recently. So,
that's what I noticed.
I think Oscar's always into some obscure directors that I've never heard about, but it intrigues me because I've never heard about them or I've never seen their work, and you want to know more. And to your guys' point on kind of backing up a little bit to your guys' point about the realism behind this, it looks like, from what I've read, the FBI's behavioral science unit, they actually assisted in making the film, so they were involved in kind of.
This was basically their recruitment movie.
Really?
Because just like a few years before Silence of the Lambs, Top Gun was like this big recruitment movie for
the Air Force. The
Air Force. So they kind of wanted to make something like that. So that's why they partnered up with Silence of the Lambs.
I'm actually
Quantico. The whole Quantico building is like they had full use of the Quantico building, and at the same time it was like that way more women to realize that, you know what, come work with us. We do have women in this.
To recruit more women, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it clearly accomplished. I connected with Jodie Foster's character in the sense that I wanted her to win. When we see the scene of that phone call where her boss is like, "We got him. You don't have to drive out of here. We'll be there. We'll take care of it." And she does anyway. Like we get that phone call, it's kind of like, damn, man, she doesn't get her moment. She doesn't get to be the hero and save the day. And then she does, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is the scene I was missing, man. This is the scene I wanted. So I thought that was really cool. You connect with her character that way.
Well, I really connected with Hannibal because just like.
I'm gonna go look at your basement right now, guys. I'm gonna go to your basement and see what you have in there.
I got some skeletons in there.
I like what because I always like to see reviews on this movie and stuff like that, like throughout the years. And there's this one comment that one guy said once that always stuck with me. That the way the two villains are portrayed in this movie is that with Hannibal, you have how monsters can seem human, and with Buffalo Bill, you can see how humans can become monsters.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
A good contrast. I mean,
what
fascinates me about these type of characters is like I even talked to Eric Sanchez, who's a big horror guy in Tower, and we talk a lot about he's a big Michael Myers fan and Halloween fan and John Carpenter in general. He's a big fan of that, and I told him that I love John Carpenter and I love his films and I love that era of horror, just the 80s era of horror, which is where we get our Michael Myers and our Jasons and our Freddys.
The slasher
era, right? But for like Michael Myers, I'm the one person who really thoroughly enjoys Rob Zombie's Halloween.
No, I actually like that one. See the first one though. Just the
first one. Yeah, the first one.
I like the intro to that movie, but once the mom came out as a spirit and a horse, it's like, what?
Oh, that's the second one.
I think that's the second one.
Yeah,
that's the second one. Okay, yeah. That was already like, come on,
But the
guys.
first one for me, what it did for me is that it allowed me to humanize Michael Myers, and to see that, and same with Jason, when you see like him as being drowned as a kid and kind of all his mom is a witch, right? So you get to see all of that in the first Friday the 13th. So I love when they do that. Like if you can give me backstory and you can give me exposition without it being, dialogue, I love that, man. So I think for Hannibal, I'm curious to watch the other films and kind of see a little more of Hannibal's character, right? But I love when they humanize a villain and when they humanize a monster. I mean, this guy really is a monster. He's tearing the nose off the cop.
So how do you humanize that?
I'm curious about that.
Oh, his posture. The fact that right before you actually get his first introduction, like you just hear all these legends from him. So he's Hannibal the Cannibal. That's what they call him. Then when she gets to the ward, he just being fed all these things that he did before, like the thing he did to the nurse. Apparently he like swallowed her tongue or something like that. Bit her tongue and dislocated her jaw because of that. But he was always calm. Yeah. And the weirdest thing about this psychiatrist, which I hate this dude so much.
Why?
I don't know. He just unnerves me. He's just like that pestilent character.
Yeah.
I love to hate him because he is really well acted. But so he carries a photo of what he did to her and shows it to
right before she walks in. Yeah, that's true. It's like, yo,
I do like that they don't let us see what the picture is, but with the descriptions and her reactions are like, oh shit.
Yeah, just stay away from that glass, okay?
You know what I like about Hannibal's character is you could easily make a film of like you could almost place this guy in a college somewhere as a professor.
Yes.
And believe that. Like you could believe just his intelligence and how he plots things out and his appreciation for books and his appreciation for music and he's a classy guy.
Yes, he is.
So if you're like really get into this, actually watch the show Hannibal, which now is on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys.
It kind of is. It's like this whole thing before Red Dragon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about that Hannibal a little bit. Yeah.
And the way Mads Mikkelsen plays him, it's also really damn good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a young Hannibal, like it's before he gets caught or whatever?
Yes.
Oh, I'm back.
Yes.
Hey, Oscar.
Oscar.
I apologize.
Oscar, I knew you were back because I could smell your cunt.
But we were talking about the Hannibal on Netflix.
Oh my God. Oh, guys. I love this show.
Is it a young Hannibal? It's a young Hannibal doing his detective work before.
Who plays him?
It's before Red Dragon. It's Matt Mikkelsen.
Now I gotta check it out.
It's a great. So it's the first two seasons are like its own thing, and then season 3 is like a weirdo adaptation of some elements from the third book, and then the back half of that season is a full-on adaptation of Red Dragon with Francis Dollarhide in it, and it's a great kind of thriller.
How does that Hannibal compare to Anthony Hopkins though? Does he got that?
They're very different. Both of them are very different.
They're both really.
They have to be, right? I think
it's just such a pedestal, man.
I don't know.
I don't think there's enough. But I don't think I get what you're saying, Castro. But I mean, there are big shoes to fill.
Right.
But I also think the beauty of that is that this is Hannibal before the Hannibal we know. So he could be anything. He could mold that character however he wants, within reason, right? But he could mold that character as a prequel, really, literally as a prequel of what we see. Like you guys were saying in Hannibal the film, you get to see him unleashed. Well, this is the proper, classy, educated man that we don't know.
And then the Netflix one, Oscar is he like loose? Is he a loose canyon or?
It's a little bit.
No.
It's like a,
No,
He's-
I'd say
He seems like a Sherlock
never has,
Holmes
like,
type of Sherlock. You know, he never gets caught. You know, until
Yeah.
that one.
yeah.
Oh,
He always keeps a cool demeanor.
Yeah, about the show is that that one is way more dark and horror like.
The show.
So the show.
The show.
So the way that he plays them is way more strict, way more like way
sinister.
more down to earth. Yes, way more
Yeah.
sinister.
Oh shit.
And
Yeah, like,
especially
he
because
never-
he's playing against the actor who does Will Graham.
Hugh Dancy.
He's playing against him, who is autistic, so he kind of gets a bit more outlandish.
Yeah.
So he's
Like-
he's kind of strict man.
Like, he never has, like, his moment like the fava beans and Chianti line. He never does
No.
like a thing like that.
Doesn't
He's very
really-
just downplayed. Yeah.
And for this Hannibal Lecter, do we know how he got cut?
Yes.
On the show, yeah. Or
On the show.
No. On like the Silence of the
presently,
Lambs.
like leading up to season.
Yeah.
Silence of the
Basically
Lambs.
what happens in Red Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Or
Okay.
Manhunter, depending which
Or-
one you saw first.
Yeah, or Manhunter, depending which one you saw. I don't
The
know
movie,
how-
right? Because I've only seen the seasons, the show on Netflix.
Oh yeah, yeah. Is that the movie Manhunter is an adaptation of the Red Dragon
Red
novel.
Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Oscar, I gotta ask you, man. I really want your insight on Jonathan Demme, and
Yes.
we were watching. You also mentioned Fujimoto and his cinematography and his lighting. Can you talk a little bit about that and talk about like kind of you're more experienced than Jonathan Demme. I haven't seen much of his work, so
They've been, from what I remember, him and Demme are early. Like I think Tak Fujimoto shot his first film, Caged Heat, which he shot for Roger Corman, and it was like a women in prison
shit.
type movie. But
somebody
it's
who
like
makes a cameo in this film, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Makes a small cameo. Roger Corman
Him and George Romero also.
and George Romero.
Who are legends.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think like it's crazy, or like it's so awesome, like the fact that he essentially does Married to the Mob after or before this, which is like this awesome, incredible like comedy, like crime caper comedy
I think I've seen
with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
And it's really just full on zany and like funny. And then after that, he's like, you know what? People don't think I was looking at the documentary, and they originally offered it to Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman wanted to star in it and direct it. And Hackman passed on the script because he thought it was too violent. So Demme came upon it. He read the book and really, really liked it. And then after that, he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna full on everything like I've learned from like Something Wild and Married to the Mob. I'm just gonna approach it to this one. And it's like all those menacing conversations are done in like classic Demme close up. And like that's one thing that Demme is known for. Like obviously like Scorsese.
We all do that.
Scorsese has like his long shots.
Right.
And Demme, like his signature stuff is like the close-up, like the big Demme close-up.
Gotcha.
And he does that perfectly in Silence of the Lambs. And like another thing that he is known for is like he's a very kind of like, he was known as like a very compassionate filmmaker. And you know how he cared for characters and how he kind of didn't judge characters as kind of like bad as they were. And the interesting story about like Hopkins and offering him the role is that Demme saw Hopkins in theater, and he approached him for
because Elephant Man, right?
It was because of Elephant Man, and he enjoyed Elephant Man, and he said they asked him like, you know, this character is kind of like Hopkins was like, this character is kind of villainous, and like he's very, you know, he's like this he's a psychopath, he's full on evil, and Demme was like, yeah, I know, and he then talks about like, I saw your work in Elephant Man, and Hopkins was like, yeah, but I played a good person there, like his role was a good doctor. It's like, that's exactly why I need you to play him as being this compassionate psychopath. He is like this. What was the word that Hopkins used? It was something like he's like he's giving the facade of someone good, but inside he's evil. And I think Hopkins does that perfectly. Like as soon as you see him for the first time, before that, Lecter is being described as like a monster. You expect him to be like one of the other prison inmates, where he's like jerking off or what have you.
Right.
And when he is first introduced, he's like he's essentially he's like essentially standing like this, like very just
it's
like
sophisticated but still freaky as hell.
Oh, so good. And
what I call the Nosferatu pose.
Yeah, it's very like Nosferatu, but he's like smiling at you, but not in like a creepy way, but more in like a like I said, like a creepy way,
but sophisticated, which is like
very
watch my steps here.
But I wanted to earlier you guys were talking about how they show her the photo. So, this could happen and don't get near the glass, but compared to all the rest of them, she's still the way the other prisoners are. She's still drawn to the glass, like right away. She gets near the glass, like in the scene, and it's in other scenes also. She's just up near the glass, and I think it's just that contrast there.
And here's
when did the guards didn't say anything? Like, yo, back up.
Is that a tell on her bravery, or is that a tell on her being intrigued? Right.
I think it's a bit
showing.
Both. Yeah.
Showing confidence, I guess.
I think he draws her in. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's both of them. Yeah. Like,
he draws us.
Both use each other.
Yeah.
So what's interesting? You guys were right. We didn't mention earlier that this film is based on the book by Thomas Harris, and it came chronologically with Thomas Harris. So I thought it was interesting that they chose this book, right? Because Red Dragon was written before this. The book.
Well, is that they had already made
Manhunter?
Manhunter.
Manhunter.
So technically, they had made, but once Silence of the Lambs became the huge thing that it became. I mean, it's the only horror movie to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Aside from being the third movie to win all the big five categories.
I wanted to mention that the accolades for this film, that it's the big 5 Academy Awards: the Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Hopkins, Best Actress for Foster, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
It won all of that?
It won all of that. It won the big 5.
91?
So it was nominated for 2 more, which was for Best Editing and Best Sound.
And it should have won for Best Editing.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple of good shots in there for sure.
Craig McKay.
When they show Buffalo Bill's headquarters or whatever, his house.
Oh, so good.
That long shot.
That's a really nice shot.
Creepy, dude.
Is that a staple for this director? Because I thought the camera movement for me was very intriguing, and the camera placement was very, very, very
slow and
There's a little bit of that for sure. I mean, he never made anything as like horror thriller as this. I would say maybe like the next thing would probably be like the closest thing would probably be something like Maturing Candidate, which is really really
more of a thriller. But
I mean, what's interesting about him is that after Silence of the Lambs, he went right into Philadelphia.
Yes,
and
that's Philadelphia, man, with Tom Hanks.
Film. It's an entirely different type of story.
Yeah,
and Philadelphia, he did as a complete response to Silence of the Lambs because he was such like a big compassionate filmmaker. There was this huge outcry for Buffalo Bill and the way that he was portrayed. And a lot of people kind of like protested against that and kind of portrayed against like the fact that, you're only portraying gay people as being villainous and all of that. And so he was so affected by that for Philadelphia, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a film where I portray gay people in a positive light. But
there's a line in there in the movie where Hannibal tells Clarice that Buffalo Bill isn't transgender, but he believes he is. But I guess that goes over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
They kind of miss it.
Yeah, but then again, it's still too ambiguous in a way. It's kind of phrased in a way where you could still like see where a lot of like especially transgender people can still say like, this is not an excuse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because then again, we are viewing this transsexual point views. We are viewing them how the 80s used to view them, not how the 2020s are viewing them. So we do have that difference right now.
Chris, Chris, what did you mean about him not being transsexual, but he thinks? What does that mean? What do you mean?
It's a line in the movie. Because I think he's telling her about how he.
It's
I forgot
about
how it goes.
Where he's talking about the moth and like the whole transformation thing.
Yeah,
right. So he's saying that he thinks but he's not.
Yeah, exactly. That he's I guess trying to be transgender, but he's not really like technically officially. I forgot how it goes exactly.
Oh, because Clarice.
Sorry, I couldn't back that up.
Like,
no, it's all good, but it's interesting.
Tells him that, so you mean that he's a transsexual? Mm-hmm. And so he comes back with, no, he thinks he's a transsexual, not really a transsexual.
Right.
Because she says that, well, transsexuals they're supposed to be like
passionate or not like aggressive.
Passionate people, not exactly.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why that's why he is violent.
Right, and transsexuals aren't like that, supposedly.
I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong here, Oscar. Jonathan Demme has after Silence of the Lambs, there could have been, I don't know, I feel like there could have been more from him, right? There could have been bigger pictures from him.
Yeah.
And he went, a lot of directors do that, but once they win the Oscar, they kind of go down, they kind of just do their passion projects and kind of keep it low and stay on
politics, like you just said about Philadelphia, just people want him to do this because of that.
Philadelphia was a big hit too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oscars,
but it was more of a pressured film, I guess.
And Philadelphia is not like you think of like Philadelphia as like being like Oscar baity, but it's so much weirder and like full on, like compassion. Like he has the same, like we were talking in the screening how there's a scene when Clarice is about to meet Lecter and it turns into all red. Mm-hmm. It has like the exact same lighting in Philadelphia as well. But like that like triptych or like Something Wild, Married to the Mob, Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia.
He was a producer on adaptation, and that's
he was
a weird fucking film. Like such a weird picture. But I just saw his versatility between this and Philadelphia, and I feel like I saw parts of Ricky and the Flash, which was his last film. And he's just a kind of a chameleon of a director, man. I think it's very interesting. And I feel like just like Spielberg's a chameleon, and Spielberg's got this big name to him, right? I just feel like after his Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only Oscar he got.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could have kind of capitalized on that, and he didn't. And I just always find it interesting when directors kind of take that route.
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho
he went into TV, right?
He did, and like mostly just like concert films as well. He did a bunch of concert films, and like Manchurian Candidate is really solid. Rachel Getting Married is probably another one of his like great films that is on par with like Silence and Married to the Mob and Something Wild. Like Something Wild, Tim Burton saw Something Wild and he saw Ray Liotta in it, and he wanted to cast Ray Liotta for Batman because of Something Wild, which is, I think, like a completely different film.
Yeah. A Goodfellas Batman, man. I love it.
A Goodfellas Batman, yes.
I think it's important to note Howard Shore did the score for this. And I mean, he's done everything, man. He'd worked with David Cronenberg on his two biggest film, Scanners. Yeah. I mean, he did Big with Penny Marshall, another different type of film.
He did Big.
Yeah, he did Big. He did the music for Big. He did Mrs. Doubtfire. He did Ed Wood.
Oh,
no. He did.
He did Ed Wood as well.
Yeah, he did.
A great score. Yeah.
He did Seven. He did Dogma. Kevin Smith's Dogma.
Oh, that's true. He did.
He did Gangs of New York. Scorsese's Gangs of New York. I mean, he did Hugo. For crying out loud.
Which is another good score.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite scores. Is Hugo. Lately, he's done he did Spotlight, which also was nominated. That's
a good film.
He's a big deal, man. He's up there with the John Williams and the. Sadly, we just recently lost Ennio Morricone. You know. He's up there with. I feel like he's up there. He's done different things. He did The Hobbit.
And this one is like a really interesting score because it's not like full on like. It's a horror film, so you expect it to be kind of menacing.
Yeah.
And moody synthesizers, and it's not at all that, where it's like it's just
full on
like
orchestra.
It's like orchestra, like operatic.
Well,
It's
I feel like that's something catered to Morricone, because Morricone wanted to get rid of that feel of scores, and kind of in his later thing he started like emulating that. And Morricone's biggest thing was that he never wanted people to copy him. He never wanted people to like, really like copy his work or like emulate his work. That was a big deal with him. So I think the 90s had a shift in cinematic scores, even in horror films. I think the 80s was all slashers and menacing synthesizers and these big scores, but the 90s took a more operatic, more of a classical kind of tone to it, and it fits directly with Hannibal's character.
Yes.
Music, the classical music and the classiness of it all.
Wow.
Well, one thing that I like about the score in this is that, especially with horror films, you always get those sharp attacks to accentuate something that's supposed to be horrific.
Yeah.
But here, although you do hear the crescendos of the violins, it continues. It tells you that things are still not safe. It's not just a moment. No, we're still in this for a while.
It keeps you
and that's what I like about this. What makes this score so different for this horror movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Howard Shore's, he's still doing it, man. He just did a French film that's in post right now, coming out next year or this year, 2020.
This is one of my favorite scenes coming up. We're looking at the film through Carlos's.
Yeah, hold on, Carlos, talk so I can see.
Let me step away here so you guys can see.
This close-up is
the
amazing.
actual Lamb's monologue, right?
Oh yes. So
Austin missed this. Austin doesn't know why it's called Silence of the Lambs.
I wanted to talk about that. For those of you listening and not watching the YouTube version,
that brings the film together.
In the background of my screen, I have the film running throughout the whole thing. So I don't know if I'm gonna get sued, but if I don't,
no
one can notice it.
No, but I want to talk about that. The title of the film, and where its origins. Can we talk about that a little bit? Where's
Big Lamb's monologue?
What is the Silence of the Lambs
monologue? Yeah, I know it's kind of a spoiler.
Well, let's ask Austin what he thinks first. What it is.
I was a little disappointed. I didn't see a single lamb in the film.
You see,
he ate some, or he was about to eat some. Yeah,
there are some promotional images of Jodie Foster holding a lamb when the film came out.
I
think there was
the drawing he has.
Yeah.
All right, so Austin, let us know why do you think it's called Silence of the Lambs?
I don't know.
But think about it. Give an educated guess. What do you think?
Well, for everybody who doesn't know about this, is that when we did the Netflix party, so we were watching this whole thing, and Austin was just like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for the moment that they're gonna the lambs are gonna
reveal this moment." Yeah.
And so at that moment, he went to the bathroom when this whole monologue came up. And when he comes back, you're like, "You just missed it, bro.
You missed the best part." So what do you think, Austin? It's something with Jodie Foster when she was a kid, and there was a lot of lambs. And then something happened.
And then Mary had a lamb.
If I had to guess, honestly, like if I didn't see the film and I didn't see that scene, and I had to guess, I would have guessed it has something to do with the amount of like almost like getting people in line to murder and to slaughter and to eat, right? Because that's what happens with lambs. Like you just they know. I mean, they don't know that they're in line for killing, but
that's what's gonna happen.
Slaughter, that's what's gonna happen. Like they know, right? So I mean,
they're talking about serial killers and
to Hannibal's, exactly. If we're talking about serial killers, to Hannibal's like credit, I mean, he had his people lined up. Like he was intriguing them and pulling them in until he finally ultimately was gonna kill them and eat them. So if I had to give a guess, I'd probably say something like that. But there's much more to it that has to do with Jodie Foster's character. Who wants to elaborate on that?
Oh, I feel like Oscar's pretty.
I think he's got it.
Yeah, you're
the most psychopath here.
No.
This is what he does on my podcast. He just does all the heavy lifting. So Oscar, take it away. Over.
If anything, I could kind of go into it a bit.
Yeah, because explain the ending too. Because he tells her no or something like that. Like, are the lambs still? Okay,
so the whole thing with that scene is that
well, he has a file on her. His whole obsession is getting information about her life. That's his obsession.
Yes, but Hannibal, what he wants is that I'm not just gonna give you the information. I'm gonna give you hints for you to figure out. But at the same time, I'm gonna give you hints, I want to know about you.
Yeah.
It's like the whole quid pro
Actually,
quo
it's a-
thing as well.
That's what I would have been like.
Yeah. So the thing is that, especially Clarice, like she sees him kind of like the only person that has given her respect. So that's why she actually opens up to him throughout these conversations.
But wouldn't you think like wouldn't she kind of see that, kind of smell that from him? Like, okay, he's gonna probably just act like he's giving me respect.
I mean, that's what you expect, but in reality, Hannibal did really give.
Yeah, that's true. That's the beauty of it. That's true.
He like in his point of view, he actually does respect her.
Yeah. It's like a mutual kind of like they're on par with each other in terms of like what do you call it, like mental gymnastics, or like mental, it's like a mental battle that's the same, on the same equal playing field, basically.
Right. Go for it.
So this whole scene, this whole last monologue is basically her just going full force. Okay, you know what, yes, I'll tell you everything about why am I here. And it's the whole thing where she, as a kid, once her father died, she went to live at a ranch where one night, she just starts hearing the screams like babies.
Yeah.
And it starts going to the barnyard, and what was happening is that she saw that the lambs there were being slaughtered.
And
so
lambs kind of sound like babies. That's true. They're like, meh.
Yeah, when they cry and all that stuff, right? Especially. So what she did is that she grabbed one to try to rescue it and just ran out. Just ran off. But the thing is that thing was heavy. The lamb was heavy. So, and eventually they caught up to her. And so she sees that they caught this lamb again, and they still end up killing it.
It's like a weird.
Her like, yeah.
No, go ahead.
So it's sorry. So the whole thing is that after that, the rancher just said, "You know what? You're not gonna be living here anymore." So she gets to the orphanage.
Oh, so
the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he says it like she says it like right after, and so Hannibal what he figures out is that, oh, okay, so you want to save this girl because you want to silence the lambs get a chance to finally silence those cries of help.
Something that traumatized her significantly. Yeah.
Kind of like the victims of Buffalo Bill. Like she wants to silence,
or being able to save him, like she tried to save that one.
Exactly. And knowing that even though she's gonna save, there's gonna be other victims. Like the crime is still gonna happen.
It's like a weird commentary on like how inevitable it's probably gonna be, and like this is gonna be happening, even though as soon as Buffalo Bill is gone, it's still gonna be happening because I'll be there or somebody else is gonna be there. But I know that like Clarice is gonna do everything in her power, like her determination to stop it from happening right now.
Because she thinks if she stops Buffalo Bill, the crying, the waking up at night is gonna stop, right?
Yeah.
Well, explain the ending
then. That's what she hopes though.
Yeah, that phone call.
That's what she hopes for because she doesn't know.
So what was that phone call when she calls her at night, when he already escaped and he's on disguise? What's that phone call about?
I think because he had a connection. They had a connection.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he had a connection with her, and he wanted to let her know, hey, kind of
here,
just checking in, like.
And then I'm not gonna come after you, right?
Yeah. Like it's like, hey, I'm doing my thing. Just
it's that respect. Okay. Wow.
Kind of feel like it's a similar moment to like to the mutual respect that Al Pacino,
so he's not that crazy,
character had in Heat.
He just eats people, I guess.
Yes.
Like
that's a good comparison.
In Heat, they're complete opposites on opposite sides of the law, but ultimately they have to respect each other because we've all seen Heat, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The Sandra Bullock one?
No.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to give away the ending of Heat. It's okay?
Yeah, go for it.
1995,
dude. If you haven't seen it at this point, just
come on.
You haven't seen Hot Fuzz?
Godfather. Yes.
They've only been in 2 other films together, and one of them sucked really bad, and the other one was a fantastic film.
And I heard Al Pacino was on coke the whole film on Heat. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
In what? In Heat or Righteous Kill?
And Heat.
Probably both.
He's admitted it. Probably both.
On coke and The Irishman too. Who knows, man?
In the interview and everything.
It's like the ending of Heat, where it's like like that mutual respect and like the holding hand between those 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the same thing. It's like, I'm gonna give you a phone call. I know where you are. I know that you're probably gonna be thinking of me and trying to hunt me down, and I'm gonna be ready for you, and I expect you to be ready for me when you
the duality of it. I mean, the diner scene,
freaking cool.
Right? The diner scene of Heat, the classic diner scene of Heat. That's
between them.
That's just, I think that's what it is. It's that mutual respect, and the same feeling I got from that, I get from this. That phone call gave me, like, even though you don't know what happens to him and you see him walk into the distance,
so good.
It gave me closure. That phone call gave me closure of like,
yeah, me too.
It's just a beautiful moment. Almost,
even though not for her.
Almost like, okay, he outdid himself and he like outgamed her.
Oh,
but at the same time, like, it's almost like father and son. Like, hey, we've been on this journey for this long together. Like, we've been on this journey. We connected. I'm just letting you know, I'm good. You're good. I feel like it's kind of that, or father and daughter rather, with Jodie Foster's character. So yeah, it was a very good moment. Very good moment in the film.
Well, Charles Napier just got cut, by the way.
Really?
Huh?
Charles Napier just got butchered
on the screen
and turned into an angel.
Oh yeah. What was that? What was the significance of that one?
It's just like an elaborate,
just to show his work.
Kill,
I saw it more of a.
I think as a distraction, smoking
like,
lights,
just to keep him. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I saw.
That's why he wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. This is the first time I really watched this since I was like 9 years old, which I didn't get.
Sure.
I saw it like
cool.
like
that's
that's
cool.
where I got it from. But it's very vivid. I mean, the first time you see it, it's like, oh, it's turning into this. Okay, all right, cool. It's
what I do like about the whole escape scene is that what I do like about the whole escape scene is that it's like, oh yeah, that's true. He is a villain.
Yes.
You forget for a while how sophisticated it was. Like, oh no, he's crazy.
He is a weirdo psychopathic cannibal that's out of need to put him on the leash.
Yeah, but he's a master manipulator too. So
so good.
That's for damn sure.
And like, even like the way that he kind of kills the police officer when he obviously, like, the whole pen thing is brilliant, and like and kudos to Demme for like not treating its audience like a bunch of idiots. But there's a shot where you just see him looking at the pen, and he never tells you if he grabbed it or anything. And the next scene, he has like the like part of the pen to get rid of his handcuffs. That's I think like brilliant, and so like kudos to him for not treating us like a bunch of
Chekhov's pen.
And maybe
Chekhov's pen. Yes.
And maybe he didn't use all that movement just to keep that strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why maybe he was just saving his energy. I don't know. I take it like that.
And then like the way that he kind of like kills the guy, you kind of see him like, it's almost like he doesn't enjoy it, but it's almost like a weird, like, I have to do this to escape, and like you force me to. It's almost like you force the monster to come out, and like now the monster's unleashed or something like that.
I will say, just the way that he was killing the guard, it reminded me a lot of how the Joker kills Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the crane, right? But it's the same way. Forehand, backhand, forehand.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, guys, I think it's about time we get into the Tower Crown. For those,
it's already about that time.
It's about that time. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Yokomoto, and you can explain the Tower Crown, not just to our guests, but anybody listening in.
All right. Well, to all of you who are listening, to all of you who may not know, the Tower Crown is a debate show where the debaters don't always know exactly what they are going to be debating for. So we put up a poll last weekend, with 4 movies depicting the horror, thriller, detective type of thing to celebrate Silence of the Lambs. And just to kind of remind everybody, here are the movies. It was Identity.
Oh, this is a good movie too.
Chris is like,
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
Oh man, that's gonna be another one that we need to put in there. Seven.
Oh, I love that one.
And lastly, Shutter Island.
Chris is like, I'm out.
So,
By the way, on the poll, a couple things about the poll.
Carlos, you're muted.
Am I really?
No.
Oh, a couple things about the poll. About my fiance was like, she kept bugging me about it. She was like, "Why didn't you guys put Gone Girl in there? Like, it should have been, you should have had Gone Girl in there." Yeah. And then another thing is, I think Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, you and I are the only ones that voted for Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
You're gonna be on my side
so
for
here's
this.
the thing.
Who's on my side with 7? Because I need help.
7. I'm 7.
All right, cool, man. David Fincher fan.
Be there.
So y'all voted. Y'all on Facebook voted, and these are the results.
Yes! Yeah, man. Come on, man.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I still haven't seen either. So
Yeah, I haven't seen that one
I'm
either.
glad it was Shutter Island.
Let's
Go for Oscar.
What were you saying, Oscar?
All right.
Hold on, I just want to say this. I'm a huge Fincher fan, and I
Yes!
actually really like 7.
But
there's 2 and 2, so I'm gonna do Shutter Island just because I think it's like a hugely underrated.
No,
good luck, bro.
Pick what's in your heart, Oscar. Pick what's in your heart.
Exactly, man.
3v1. Hey.
All right.
I'm gonna go.
Y'all ready?
Death, so.
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying Shutter Island is getting a pity vote. Really?
No. That's not.
No, he just said
Yo.
that's what he just finished saying.
So I'm gonna start with that then, okay?
All right. So ready to start? Let's go with 7.
Ooh, I'll start it off.
Right.
This is David Fincher.
Right.
This is early David Fincher. He shows us the 7 deadly sins. This is the first time I ever knew about the 7 deadly sins. I need help. Which ones are they? Gluttony, greed, sloth,
Pride,
lust,
envy,
envy,
yeah, and rage, no? Wrath.
Yes, and then we get Brad Pitt, which is one of his best performances besides Fight Club, I guess. And then we also get Morgan Freeman, who's looked the same way since every film I've seen from him.
beautiful man.
And then the cool thing about this one is that we never know the ending, which is something with Shutter Island that I've seen, that I knew it. I knew what was coming up. Like from the middle of the movie, I knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But with this one, we don't get to see it till the end. And spoiler alert, it's Kevin Spacey who's the killer. He's a killer that's doing murders in the 7 deadly sins kind of way. And the beautiful thing about David Fincher in this one is he doesn't show you the action. He shows you the aftermath, and he shows you Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt's reactions, which are so real, like beautiful. And that's David Fincher's greedy, dark, rainy type of film vibe. And Shutter Island doesn't have that.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Tell me it doesn't have that imagery. All right, what about you, Chris? What's your take on
I need a little bit of help, Chris.
What's your take on
I don't know what else I could say about it. It's just
it keeps you intrigued the whole way.
Yeah, it's really dark. It did an ending that it was really risky,
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, not even that. But like spoiler, just that the villain wins.
Yeah.
And his whole plan it's really, that one's very scary. The just the mind of the psychopath there. And
yes.
Basically all the murders that are attributed to the sins are very memorable, even though, like Castro said, you never see them on screen. Particularly the lust.
Oh my God, it's so
yes.
God damn,
horrifying.
that still just turns me on so much. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, psychopath over here.
You're looking for that perfect one.
Silence of the Lambs.
I know there was so much silence there. It made me so fucking nervous. I hope I didn't lose points on that one, but I hope 7 still takes it. Yeah, it's and with Shutter Island, and you guys have defended it to me before, Shutter Island, but you guys said that it's better on second viewing. And who has time for that shit?
Yeah, exactly.
More like
just 4 words. All I need is 4 words. Is what's in the box?
What's in the box?
I think
that's all I got.
I think it's time. Look, though
go for it.
Though I do think Seven is one of Fincher's best. I mean, you guys know this about me, but my favorite Fincher film is The Social Network. It's a totally different vibe of Fincher.
Nightcrawler.
Zodiac.
But I do think Seven
Zodiac.
is fantastic.
Fight Club, don't forget Fight Club.
Fight Club. Come on, Carlos.
No, man. The Social Network for me, it's Fincher and Sorkin. I mean, it's just, and we'll talk about that film when we get there. But but no, Seven I think is fantastic. I do think that Seven relates directly more to Silence of the Lambs than Shutter Island in the sense that, like Kevin Spacey's character is just as menacing, just as intriguing. So I think you guys got that to your point. However.
Okay.
And don't go to Leo and Scorsese's best. Don't do that, all right?
Look, listen. You were talking.
Just playing favorites here.
Yeah, Scorsese helped him in this film or something.
You were talking about cinematography, and this is Robert Richardson, man. This is basically Tarantino's cinematography working for Scorsese, and he did a couple of films with Scorsese that are fantastic. One of them being Hugo. But I think that feel, that vibe, that almost noir look of a film, we do get that in Shutter Island, and I'd argue that we get it more in Shutter Island than we do in Seven.
No, what are you talking about? It's all at night usually.
We're forgetting about Leo's extreme and awesome Boston accent, sirs.
Exactly.
We are duly appointed federal marshals.
And Mark Ruffalo, Mark
Ruffalo. He's good. I'm a big fan.
Amazing in this, and Michelle Williams was one of my favorite performances in this film.
Wonderful.
The performances in this film in Shutter Island, I think are extremely underrated. I think, look, the first time I was ever exposed to Shutter Island, shortly after, I had a professor from EPCC tell me, we were in some I guess it was like a film club, or I forget what it was, but he tells me, because I mentioned I'm a big Scorsese fan, and he says, all right, but let's forget about Shutter Island. Come on, man. As soon as the film opened, I knew the ending, and I think that's bullshit.
Yes.
Oh,
you can see all the
trailer.
signs. You can see exactly the trailer gave it away.
Yeah.
But that's on the marketing though. It's not on the film.
Yeah,
that's true. But they always fuck that up.
I was so wrapped up. I guess I was so wrapped up in Leo's journey in this film that I didn't see that coming, and I think that's what made it special for me. I didn't see it coming.
Mark Ruffalo gave a lot of clues, man. Too many clues.
Sure, but that's my point. You're not really paying attention. The first viewing, you're not really paying attention to Mark Ruffalo.
I'm all about that first view, dog.
You're almost thinking about Mark Ruffalo is the guy that's we all know that Leo's gonna be proven right. I'm believing Leo on this one. His passion is kind of showing me that, right? So
yeah, he's good.
I just think that it's an underrated film. I do think that the cinematography, that the score, there's plenty of things in this film.
Who played the doctor at the end? Who was the one that played the doctor?
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley and Max von Sydow.
Amazing. Ben Kingsley's.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Damn.
I mean, I think the performances were basically the big draw. Even the special effects in this film was a lot better than a lot of the.
David Fincher didn't use special effects. How you like them apples, man?
That's what I think
all the time.
One thing just to kind of come in, David Fincher actually uses a lot of special effects.
Hey, Yokomoto, hey, bro.
I was just
two and two.
Marty has gone on record to say that whenever he uses special effects, or he's that director that loves celluloid, but when digital was really at its prime and the Arri Alexa started coming out, he started using digital and he started using special effects, and he told himself, a lot of directors of my time, they're like, nah, don't use that, man. It's not, doesn't look good yet. But he was like, no, it's just another tool for me. It's just another tool for me. And he knows how to use these tools very efficiently. And I think Shutter Island is an example of that. The scene with when he hugs Michelle Williams and then she ultimately disappears and she's paused. I mean, it's when you find out about the kids and you find out about his traumatic state,
the actual
it breaks your heart.
But it's good, but that's already me filling in the points, man, the gaps already. You know what I'm saying? When I'm seeing all that.
You're telling me that because you fill in the gaps, you don't feel that? You don't feel that moment?
I like to be surprised. And Seven did that to me. Yeah, for sure. No, for sure, dude. She drawn the kids and everything, but David Fincher's was more real, more gruesome, dude.
I think it's more gritty, for sure. But I think that's what I love about Shutter Island. It feels more like a novel. It feels more like a.
Yeah, it does feel like a novel for sure.
I love that aspect of it. It feels like a noir novel. Yeah, I love that aspect of it. And then when
it just has a little fantasy to it.
When he's going up the tower, man, and he thinks he's finally gonna get that scene, the revelation with Ben Kingsley and Mark Ruffalo, it's just such a great scene.
It's good. It's good. But
why are you all wet, oh dear?
Yeah.
So
Oscar, I don't know if you have more to add on to that.
I mean, I think we talked about it in our like
Boston accent.
Boston accent.
Boston.
In the Scorsese episode, but I love this film. I think like, and Carlos already talked about it. I think like the twist actually rewards people and like on its kind of like storytelling. The second time that you see the film is so much better just from looking at other characters and see how they react to Leo. And like the whole, like the actual filmmaking of it is brilliant. It's like it is like a noir detective, pulpy mystery horror thriller that you would find from like the 50s or 60s. And it has like weird haunted mansions and like such a cool kind of like aesthetic to it. And then like Leo's whole journey is really powerful and cool. And it's like this cool thing about like identity and like the nature of like self and like who do you prefer to be. I love that whole last line where he's essentially like,
do you prefer to be a monster? What's the line?
Is it better to die
a monster?
Die a monster?
No, die as a good man than to live as a monster?
To live as a monster or something like that. And that whole thing, I think just...
Not even like... Mark Ruffalo is the guy that is constantly against him. And when he says that line, it's like, that's the one moment where he's like, oh shit.
And it's that great kind of like ambiguous thing of like letting the audience do the work and letting the audience like actually... like work and like find out for themselves and like.
But what if you already had gotten there?
Are we gonna draw attention to the fact that the wild horses scene is on behind Carlos right now?
Oh
yes, which is great.
I was hoping she got that right there.
I know we're all like.
So you guys think? So which one would you guys prefer as the ending? Oscar, come on, bro.
The line, man, the line does it for me for Shutter Island. That line, it's so deep, it's so impactful as to like, oh well, Brad Pitt doesn't
better than Kevin Spacey in the middle of nowhere with
but he doesn't get what
Brad Pitt
Brad Pitt, the character you ultimately love, like he doesn't get his way, and there's just deception for that character.
That's cool. That's the like gritty, dark.
But you could argue like the Shutter Island ending is it's just the same, if not darker than the one, because he knows
it's the Mobius, dude. No. It's gonna restart for him. It's gonna restart for Leo's character.
And he's actually he's maybe conscious in the fact that he's playing a part in that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful for sure. It's
a part of a part. Yeah.
It almost seems like a Memento type of ending too, where
don't you dare! Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Spoilers for Memento. But it almost seems on like that type of like that dual type of nature where, well, like the idea of like choice and like what type of choice do I have? Can I either live with myself and know what I have done, or can I accept? And like. Maybe like try to change that and like I'm living in some type of weirdo fantasy, but maybe I'm happy in my weirdo fantasy, and like which one do I choose? And like that whole debate is awesome.
Yeah, and I think what on top of that, it shows you just how intelligent Leo's character actually is. Like it shows you his intelligence. Like he creates this world for himself so that he can cope with the trauma he went through, but he knows
AKA psycho shit.
But he's aware. Hey, he isn't an insane asylum after all.
Exactly.
But he is aware.
So he's trying to justify something that's crazy.
That line at the end, he is aware that he's creating this world for himself.
Yeah.
I think that's a different level.
Chris?
It's a different type of ending, I guess.
So anything you want to add on to either Shutter Island or 7?
Hey, Yokomoto, man, your hair's looking pretty good, eh? I like that shirt. It's pretty good too.
Finally, someone noticed.
No, I'm 7 all the way.
7 the whole way, man. Brad Pitt and old young Morgan Freeman. I love him.
Old young Morgan Freeman.
Even though we know Kevin Spacey's not a great guy.
Oh yeah.
That performance still works. I think it's even creepier now, knowing what a disgusting person he is.
Yeah.
Yokomoto, take that into account. Take into account, Yokomoto.
All right.
Any final thoughts? Any last rounds?
I just think I think
Brad Pitt is better actor than Then
I
can't say it.
You can't say it. No, you can't.
Is it happening?
Wasn't Brad Pitt's Oscar the only Oscars he's ever won were supporting roles?
Oh man.
Well, he won his first one for Once Upon a Time.
That's a support.
Yeah. Supporting.
Should have won for Moneyball.
Moneyball was good, yeah. And Fight Club too, but
I mean, hey, I'm not judging him.
California too. I mean,
Also,
The Adventures of Sinbad. Great performance.
The Adventures of Sinbad.
I never seen that one.
To the animated film that no one remembers.
And,
yeah.
And True Romance. He was awesome.
Oh yeah, True Romance.
True Romance. Yeah. I just think everybody's perspective is I saw it coming, and then that becomes like a clan, man. Like it becomes a cult thing. Like you start hearing that, and then people who've never seen the film.
Yeah, that's bad. Which is bad. Yeah.
Yeah. People who have never seen the film sit down and see it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I saw it coming," because I heard about this. And
but I saw it personally. I'm sorry, without that clutter, man. I was just like, I kind of see the mark, and then Buffalo's giving too many clues.
I guess I was one of the lucky few. I didn't see it coming. I really didn't.
It's a good film. I'm just going with 7 right now. All right, here we go, folks.
All right. So we ready?
I don't think I am, man.
Okay, so I'm kind of like telling up here my notes.
Chris.
So the winner for this one is gonna be
Chris.
Cross my fingers.
Quick second.
Chris.
What do I do?
What? No, man. Just because Yokomoto likes Leo, man.
I'm not paying.
Nah, man. How do you guys know it's a recount? Nah, man. This is rigged. Something happened.
Listen,
how is this being rigged? No, man. I have so many questions.
I want to make it very clear. Yokomoto said this on the last episode. It's not necessarily about which one is the better film. It's about which one is argued the best in this debate.
I thought I had solid foundation in my argument.
I feel like I got sold on anything that was.
So here was a problem with the 17.
Okay.
And the problem is that you guys went that this is a classic, and you just went with all your dominoes on that. While the Treasure Island team, they actually went more with the ending has way more meaning than what you think it is. And it went more into that aspect than you guys just went.
Treasure Island has come out earlier than 7 is from 97, man. Come on, 95.
Yeah, but
I mean,
you still got more with the philosophical
talk. I didn't see that, Yokomoto. Like, what his point is, like, you guys,
I see.
You guys just landed on the pedestal, like put it on the pedestal, and it's classic, and I don't have to explain my reasoning.
I've explained the 7 sins. We never seen a film like that shows us, a story within the story of, somebody committing 7 deadly sins in its unique style.
I think Scorsese's the master, Akasura, whether you like it or not.
You could have argued that when it was time to argue that.
Yeah, why did you argue
that you didn't?
By the way, I just want to point out, Scorsese went into making Shutter Island as a genre film. He wanted a genre film, like a genre film in his catalog, basically. So he wanted to attack this like neo-noir or a more noir feeling of like almost like classic like Billy Wilder films. Like if you've seen any Wilder noir films, that's kind of what he wanted to do, is make just a genre film. And I love that when Scorsese wants to do that, like he's like, I want to try a genre film. Like his next film is going to be a Western. So, Flowers of the Killer Moon. So like when he just wants to try it out, he just succeeds, man. He just wants to do it because he loves cinema so much. So I think Shutter Island.
Get Bobby as a cowboy. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Bobby as a cowboy, man. I love it. Please, Bobby D. No, but you know what? Like I will say this now that we've won. 7 ultimately again is going to stand the test of time. I think the perspective of Shutter Island is always going to win over the content. Unfortunately, I think everybody's perspective of I saw it coming is going to always win in the argument. But 7 I do think is going to stand the test of time, and it's one of Fincher's best and everybody's favorite. If it's not Fight Club, it's 7, right? For everybody. I'm the weirdo that likes Social Network. So, Zodiac. Yeah, I mean, you like Zodiac. So
we could argue that Silence of the Lambs and 7 made that 1-2 punch of like bringing this dark true crime thing to in the 90s, which became this whole boom.
That's definitely. I was gonna say. I feel like Silence of the Lambs set a tone for 90s horror films, 90s horror crime thriller films,
and like that idea of like the interesting, like the compelling psychopath, and like let's analyze him and everything. you can tell 7 is definitely influenced by silence.
For sure.
We live to fight another day, man. Fight another day.
Yeah, I guess the concept of the debate was lost on me. I didn't know I was supposed to be. I thought I was just supposed to predict which one was going to get the more votes. I didn't know I was supposed to actually defend it.
I appreciate the help, man. I appreciate the help.
Let me explain that, Chris. So what basically the way it goes is we put up a poll on Facebook so that people can vote on which two we're going to argue. Once those two are chosen, then we get to be the ones arguing about which one's a better film.
Yeah.
Okay. That was lost on me. I'm sorry. My bad.
No. You helped out, man. It's just Carlos is a film historian, dude.
I brought a knife to a gunfight. It was.
Hey, you know what?
You helped.
If I didn't have Oscar here for that debate, Len, like you probably would have won, Eric. Because I love film history and stuff. That
honestly, Oscar did the heavy lifting on this one.
Yeah, he really did.
I did it.
That son of a bitch. I should have picked Shutter Island. We should have switched.
That's true.
Do we have any final notes, guys, or on any of these films, or on specifically on Silence of the Lambs? Anything else you guys kind of want to tie it with a bow on?
Demme is awesome. Watch Demme. I think like almost all his or some of his films are on Amazon Prime. Like Stop Making Sense is great. Like if you like concert films and you like Talking Heads, that one is a must. Like
Movies Mayhem Soap today, if I'm not mistaken, posted.
Yeah, I was like,
guys' favorite concert films, and I commented on that. So that's a cool thing. By the way, sorry.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about a little bit about Oscar, about your what is it? Movies Mayhem what?
Well, that one
Oscar, tell us about your podcast.
No, Oscar doesn't do this. He's gonna get hit by Chris.
Okay, my bad.
But make that very clear. That this is Chris. He's the host, and Oscar is a very, very frequent contributor to that podcast.
Also, Chris is the main guy. Okay, the host.
Yeah,
Chris is the man.
How did that start, man? Why did you start Movies Mayhem Soap? Or
otherwise,
just because
Oscar was the main honcho.
Pretty much.
No.
That's what
he's definitely the rock star of the podcast. He's the breakout hit.
Okay.
He's the one that everyone's all like, I love hearing that guy on the podcast. I'm just like,
it's forgetting his day.
I'm there too, No, it honestly it started because I started listening to a lot of podcasts and it made me want to do one. And then I decided I'm not very good at talking about a lot of things.
But what do you do? Like you rant about movies, you criticize movies, or what do you do?
Yeah, we just talk about movies. I mostly just talk about how I don't like movies.
That's true. What? Like some movies?
We've had some talk. Go back and listen to previous episodes. At least when I'm on, like. Chris is one of the guys that doesn't like La La Land, and
I hate La La Land so much.
So we get into it because of that. We get into it because of some the Scorsese retrospective was my favorite time being on that podcast. We did a whole retrospective on Martin Scorsese on Movies Mayhem Soap. Go back and listen to it. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
Check it out.
Chris got to visit a lot of Scorsese films for the first time, so it was really cool to see his perspective on like Goodfellas. He had never seen Goodfellas for the first time, and
You're joking, right?
I mean, everybody like Castro's reaction is like, "What? Who has never seen Goodfellas?"
Yeah, but why is it? I gotta ask, like, why? Like, you weren't into gangster films, or
that was it.
Mouth is Shutter Island. I think maybe that was one of your first Scorsese experiences too, right?
I believe it was actually, but that's a big part of it too. Is kind of gangster films never really appealed to me.
Why? You don't like the violence, or you don't think they exaggerate and stuff? Or
I don't know. I honestly don't know what it was about it that just didn't connect with me, or because the Godfather I had never seen until maybe 2 years ago.
Recently,
I've seen that one, In and Out too. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I'm not
get mad at you for that.
It's really good.
No In and Out. It's the Godfather. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
My attention deficit disorder, kind of,
No, baby.
This
is why nobody pays attention to the movie brats of the '80s anymore, man. Coppola and De Palma are geniuses, and nobody cares about them anymore.
So, what's your genre, Chris? What's your go-to? What's your go-to in your podcast?
Just we try to talk about kind of like what you guys do. You know how you pick for your debates the movies kind of that revolve around the central movie.
Right.
So usually there'll be something coming out, like say Blade Runner was coming out. We would talk about our favorite futuristic sci-fi movies, and we would just have a bunch of them, and we would even talk about the cast and the filmography of the director, and we just kind of rant. It's kind of just everywhere.
I gotta admit, Chris, when we were first starting up WatchTower, I talked to Austin of like, oh man, I hope the Movies Mayhem Soap guys don't kill me, man, because I hope they don't feel like we're taking that. But I did want to mention, like, I didn't want to copy or emulate like some of the stuff that, like, one of my favorite things about your podcast is when you talk. The first question everybody gets is, "What's the last movie you saw?"
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we kind of get in mini debates about that particular.
I like
film.
asking that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, we get into, oh well, we're here to talk about this film, but what are your 3 top, horror thriller films? And then we all get to have these, like, our opinion about, this is my favorite because of this reason, and it's really cool, man. It's really
that's pretty cool.
And I tried to stay away from
Those are
that.
usually my questions.
Kind of have more of a open conversation on one film and then bring it back to similar films. But I love every time I'm on it, man. I think you guys are doing something really cool. And I think I should also mention Beak Claws Podcast is kind of the parent company, I guess you could say, of Movies Mayhem Soap, and they have multiple podcasts on there as well. Some of them aren't even related to film. They're related to just lifestyle. I'm at this age and this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
30 something.
Yes.
So check out Beak Claws Podcast. They're on Instagram, and check out their stuff on every major podcasting platform that you can check them out. Yeah.
Thank you. I just kind of want to point out real quick. A lot of people think I'm also Beak Claws. That's actually George.
Yeah, that's actually George.
All that. So just a little shout out to him, and he's doing all that.
Hell yeah, man.
Our graphics and stuff.
He's George for a reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out.
He's also a cool guy, man. He's like, the first time you meet him, he's like, he's kind of quiet, kind of keeps to himself. But then you get him to talk about film, and he's like, he's got really, really good observations about cinema, and I think it's really cool. So shout out to you, producer George. Hopefully you're listening in on this. No, but thank you guys for coming on, man. We'd love to have you guys on more often, and anytime you guys want me to be on, you already know, or any of us, you want to on Movies Mayhem Soap, you already know you have the tower.
I'll talk shit about some movies, man.
It's the horror ones.
Actually, using my phone today instead of my laptop, this actually worked a lot better. I'm thinking maybe this will probably be the way we try to go forward. So
cool.
You sound better. Yeah, you sound good. You sound
the virtual aspect, Chris, to me too, because we used to do all of our episodes live for TowerCast. I was also like, man, I don't know how this is gonna be, and it turned out to be pretty great. I think people are enjoying it so far. So yeah, I'd love to. I miss your guys' episodes, man. I know you guys are kind of on pause because of this thing, but if you do it virtually, it seems to work.
Yeah, hopefully it will. So we'll try something soon.
Cool.
There's the wonderful technical difficulties episode, which
that's where you can hear our trials with Zoom and how it didn't work out.
Hey, sometimes that's the good episode, man.
Yeah, we did a few test runs before we were able to figure it out too, man. So so yeah, anyways, no, you'll go check out.
Some say that we still are trying to figure it out.
Yeah, some say. Still trying to
and I gotta sneak it in, man. If you want me as a guest, I'll
for sure. I mean, hopefully we'll come back soon enough.
Yeah.
This was fun.
I gotta mention, it was thanks to Oscar that I was introduced to you guys, and he was the one that was kind of like, "Hey, we got a podcast, and you should come on it." And I asked Austin, man, like every time like an episode would drop, I'd be like, "Oh man, like hopefully they invite me back soon, dude, because I love talking to those dudes." So, just so you guys know, you guys will definitely be invited back whenever you guys want, man. So keep on the lookout.
We gotta go at the Tower Crown again, man.
I mean, I'll be prepared next time. I'll know what's up next time.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, want to just give a sorry. What?
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, I was just gonna say sorry about the when I quoted the cunt line earlier. I don't think
that's beautiful, man.
That worked as well as I hoped.
It's the internet, man. It's the internet, man.
We're all a bunch of goofballs, man, and our listeners.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah, I hope I don't alienate any listeners with that one. It was a reference to the movie.
Exactly.
Came across.
Exactly.
Hopefully, they all understood that was a reference for the movie.
Yeah, film fan will, and that's the point, right?
Buster, is that a Master Roshi pub?
Yeah, man. I learned a lot from him, dude. I grew up with him and everything, dude.
Look at him.
I thought I was Goku for 10 years, dude. Definitely.
So unfortunately, we didn't have time to talk about the cable guy today. Maybe next episode, we'll see. We're not really.
Wait! You said you're gonna sneak at least 5.
Sorry,
we talked about the film.
We ran out of time, Castro. I'm sorry, man. We're not gonna be able to talk about the cable guy today.
Okay. You guarantee me this time? Will you guarantee me next episode?
I'll guarantee it. For
5, maybe 4. I'll 3. I'll even cut it down to 3.
3 minutes. Okay.
3 short minutes. Give me one hot minute. We'll
see how that goes. All right. Now, but thank you everybody for tuning in to the WatchTower podcast. We want to thank all our guests, everybody listening in, and that's it for this episode. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Oh yeah, I love you guys, man. You guys are great.
Thank you.